Welcome to Unit 3, Section 3.2, the Costume Center, Sound and Sprite Submenus. We've already covered the Costume Center a little bit in the other video. Not too much more to add, so I'll quickly go through that just as a reminder. Then we'll start getting to the submenus for sound and the sprite. Let's quickly go back into the Costume Center. So I go back to my costume. And let's have our Scratch Cat here. I believe I worked in the bitmap mode when I originally worked with the Costume Center. So let's go ahead and do this Costume Center in the vector mode. So if I clicked on Costume Center, and you'll notice my Costume Center is right there in the middle of the cat. That seems pretty good. If I come over here and I rotate my cat around, I can drag that and it rotates around. Okay, that's because of the Costume Center. And the cat's at X0, Y0, which is, I would approximately say right in the, well, I mean the cat is right in the middle of the screen, but the costume, you know, due to the irregularities of the shape, doesn't appear to be right in the middle of the screen. If I come over here to this one, you'll notice that this costume is in the exact center also. Now if I click on its Costume Center, and let's make it a little bit higher, and if I rotate around with this costume, you'll notice it operates around a pivot point. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create a new sprite. I'm just going to draw a new sprite. I paused the video so I could quickly put together this little program. I drew a sprite that's just a black circle, and I'm moving it to 0, 0. Whenever the green flag tool is clicked, it's going to send this sprite to 0, 0. Over here on our cat, we are going to also have the sprite go to, whoa, I should put that in there, shouldn't I? We're going to make it go to 0, 0. And, well, it's already at 0, 0. I'm just going to go ahead and put it right there underneath the green flag tool. So when the green flag initiates the program, it'll go to 0, 0. Then it's going to forever turn around 15 degrees. So I click the green flag. The sprite will begin spinning around the pivot point or its Costume Center that's at 0, 0. However, whenever I switch the costume to this one, Costume 1, which had its Costume Center in the middle of the image, you can see that it moves back to this point and spins around its Costume Center, which is exactly at 0, 0. So that just gives you an idea of what the Costume Center can do, and it also can cause a little bit of confusion, because if you want your sprite to spin around the exact middle, but instead it's doing this, it's because your Costume Center is off. Let's move on to the Sprite Sounds. There are basically 3 ways that you can get the sound into your program. You can choose a sound that's already made from scratch. You can use the microphone that is connected to your computer or built into your computer if you have a laptop or some other device that has the microphone built into it. Or you can upload a sound that's already stored on your computer or cloud storage, wherever you happen to have the files. Now here's the main thing. You need to have an MP3 or a WAV file. I have no preference on MP3 versus WAV. I guess I'd prefer MP3 over WAV just because I have more MP3 files and that's what I do. But in the end, it doesn't really matter. I mean, it's just a little bit of detail and clarity and file size, but it's, at this point in time, it's kind of a pointless conversation to have. So, any sounds you create with Scratch, they can be exported and imported to any other Scratch program that you're going to make. And that goes with costumes and sprites. So anything you're making inside of Scratch, you can take that and export it to some other program, except for one item, which is the stage. So if I came to the stage, I wouldn't be able to go over here to the stage and export it. But my sprites, I can right click on it and choose save the local file. And I can go from here and actually save this sprite with all of its code and its costumes and then upload it into another program. Okay, what else about sounds? Oh, let's go look at all the different sound buttons here. If you look at these 3 icons, the first one's going to allow you to choose a sound from the library. The second one is for using your microphone, and then the third one is uploading from a file. So let's get these in Scratch here. So we go over here to sounds. You'll notice the 3 icons are located right there. And the Scratch library sounds, if you click on this, it's going to give you quite a bit. Just click on the little play button to give you an idea what the sound makes. I'm not going to click on the sounds because I have internal audio turned off on the recording, and it's not going to really do anything anyways. So you go through and pick these sounds out. Some are good, some are really good, and some are almost, just little noises that you might want to manipulate a little bit. Next, with your sound, you always have a name right up here. You can always have the undo, redo features, and then over here you have the play, stop, and this also allows you to record sounds. If you were to click on this, it will allow you to record sounds. Let's see if it actually recorded what I put. I didn't think my microphone was connected with Scratch here, so. Okay, so it did record my sound. Now, I don't like my sound being recorded. I like that cat meow, so I'm going to highlight it, edit, choose cut, and it's going to remove everything. Now you just saw what I did there. I highlighted it, went to edit, and they have these different editing features: cut, copy, paste. I can delete it. I can select all of it and do whatever I want with it. You have microphone volume. This controls the volume of the microphone. Then over here on effects, you just have some different features. You can fade in, you can fade out. These work better if you were to select a portion, then choose fade in, and you want it to fade out a little bit faster than that. Choose fade out. You can make it louder, which will kind of spike the sound there, softer, or silence it where it has no sound altogether. Or reverse, which actually plays it backwards. That can give you endless hours of fun of reversing the sounds. So that is the sounds. Not too much going on with that. And importing sounds, again, just locate it from your files. Make sure it's a WAV or MP3 file. Right click on the sprite or the sprite costume. These are submenus on the sprite, and I want to bring it to your attention just so there's no surprises when you're out there working in Scratch. It's a little bit overkill on information, however, knowing it's going to help you out a little bit. So you have your sprites in essentially two different locations, and then you have your costumes. And if you look over here, I'm showing in this picture that I'm right clicking on the actual sprite on the stage, and it's giving me three options. It's information, I can duplicate it, I can delete it, or I can save it to a local file. Then down here on the icon, you can see I'm right clicking on it also. And then here's the differences over here by clicking on the costume. If you have this slide available to you, take the time to go through and read it. I'm going to jump into Scratch so you can see it from here. And let's go to costumes. So if I right click on my sprite, it's going to give me information, which brings up the information panel. You've seen that before. Right click on it, choose duplicate. Now I got two of these cats, and I click on play, and guess what? They do the same exact thing. And the reason is because they both have the same exact code. They both go to 0, 0, even though there's two there. Next, I right click and choose delete, and now one's deleted and the other one stays. Doesn't really matter. What happens if I click on edit undelete? It comes back, but it's been renamed to Sprite 3, which is kind of weird. So let's delete that and see what happens if we click on undelete again. Now it comes back as Sprite 3. Let's right click on this one, choose delete, and edit undelete, see what comes back, Sprite 2. Okay, so that just gives you an idea what happens when you delete that. Right click, save local file, click on this, and it'll allow you to take this to someplace in your directory to save your file. Down here, if you right click on one of these sprites, again, the information panel, you just saw that, duplicate, you can make an exact copy of it, you can delete it, you can save it to a local file, and you can also hide it. This is a different feature. Click on hide, and the sprite disappears. Right click again, choose show, and it comes back. You can also change that through the information panel as well. And last but not least, the costumes over here. Say we have this Scratch cat. And this is actually a good habit to get into. Say I want to manipulate this graphic here. I'm really feeling artistic. Before I would start working on this, I would choose duplicate so we have an exact copy of it. And then I would go into the copy of the image and maybe, change it up a little bit. Let's give him some red eyes here so he looks really intense. That way you don't lose your original image in case you do something that cannot be reversed. Congratulations, you've made it to the end of section 3.2. You're getting closer and closer and closer to actually getting to do some fun programming stuff with Scratch. Move on to the Unit 4 video. There will only be one video for Unit 4, and it's going to go over the stage, which will be very similar to the Sprite.